Father Time and Mother Nature play a prank on humanity by putting a village where all the women are Barbies and all the men are schlubs next to a village composed of Ken dolls and non-standard women, and lets the shallow sexism fly. In the 1959 low-budget oddity, The Wild Women of Wongo. And that's the movie we're dusting off this week on Movie Bones.
I am Mother Nature, designer of all the things you see and all the things you are. For millions of years, Father Time and I have worked hand in hand to make the world a better place to live in. All things considered, we think we've done fairly well. We have made our mistakes. There was one about 10,000 years ago when we tried a topsy-turvy experiment with the human race. At that time, in a village called Wongo, we made all the women beautiful and all the men brutes. We put all the handsome men in the tribe of Guna, many days' march to the south. And we made the Guna girls, well, not beautiful. It didn't work.
You know, Ryan, before this movie, I had no idea there once existed a purely white tribal culture that just so happened to also exist naturally in the tropics. I mean, it defies all logic, right? But I saw it with my own two eyes. A culture so deep and wide that the screen struggled to contain the complexity of it all. And if you believe that, folks, I have a bridge in New York to sell you because this film it's the Wild Women of Wongo. It's the only tribe of Nordic people south of the Tropic of Cancer. But there you go, folks. And and I got some interesting thoughts on this movie that go into kind of like what the distinction is and what makes something funny versus what makes it offensive. Because this movie could really, if with a tweak here and there, could have gone super offensive. That's for later. Ryan, first thoughts on all this tribal nonsense?
The question is, where do you begin? If you came up to me and said, this is how we got the actors for this movie. We went to the beach, we found all of the muscly dudes, and we said, hey, do you want to be part of a film? You get to have your shirt off the whole entire time. And they were like, heck yeah, brother. You know,
it's like,
and then
yeah.
You pick one of them. Actually, you pick two of them out, and you're like, "Hey, for whatever reason, we're gonna paint your hair a silver color. No rhyme or reason behind it. Yeah, they're the kings.
Yeah.
Then you're gonna get like mostly beautiful women. You get to just be something in this movie." And they said yes.
It really is. It's like, it does feel like you said that this is like everyone's first acting gig, and it's probably also their last. That's what the cast list indicates, if I looked at it correctly.
I was wondering if like this was maybe like some kind of a project, like a film school project.
It does have a feel to that. It's like a cross between a film school project and also like, someone's home movies. The film quality is so low stock, almost like someone's home movies. In fact, there are even glitches in the video too. So
that's the funny thing about they actually have some kind of a budget because like you have some bigger set pieces.
Wait, are you talking about like the concrete?
I'm really talking specifically, the temple
area
thing.
Okay, because that actually didn't cost them anything. That place is called Coral Castle. It's in Homestead, Florida. It's a concrete sculpture garden made by an eccentric Latvian immigrant, which explains why it always looks like the temple grounds are always so well manicured. It's like the dragon god goes out and does the lawn every day. It's like, because I noticed that like the second time I watched it, it's like that's like manicured so neatly and so perfectly. It is a Florida lawn, basically, for someone's front yard.
And see, there's another thing that you just brought up, the dragon god. I get what they're trying to go for. They're like, oh, this is set in like we're not talking ancient world, folks. We're talking like prehistoric world. Is when this is set in, and they're like, the dragon god is an alligator or a crocodile. I think it's a crocodile.
It's it, yeah. They call him a dragon god, but it's an alligator. And at one point, it's like they even had like was it the priestess of who sits all high and mighty on her throne in the coral castle there. And then she comes down and she says, "We have to, you must sacrifice yourselves to the dragon god." And then she comes down and dances with them. And she does. She does this weird clothing transformation thing where she has like the outfit of an alligator and she's got an alligator hat on. Is this done for like Fantasia on Ice? You know that scene in Fantasia?
Yeah, of course.
The crocodiles, the dancing, the hippos and
Uh-huh.
the crocodiles, and the elephant. Yeah, it's like she was going to do that on ice, but it's like this. It's like a human version. This is what you get dressed up for as the actress, and it's this cheap crocodile, helmet thing she's got on. It was hysterical, and it's liturgical dance to boot, which I usually hate. But in a movie like this, I could like, okay, it's just goofy enough. I can give that a pass.
I thought this film at first was like maybe just meant to be some stupid thing that was showcasing the wildlife of Florida. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like that's my first thing I thought was I was like, okay, like I can get behind if we're just gonna make this a movie about this, but then you have this just bizarre story that just makes it just makes zero sense. I mean, like you can understand the premise, but I'm saying the movie itself, like though, it's like this is stupid. Like I hate to say it, but like this is one of those movies where you go, this is really, really stupidly thought out.
It is like someone like you said, a film school student, like maybe freshman year. So you're like, "Hey guys, I got this great idea. Hey, we're in Florida, right? It's like, what if you had these two tribes of people, right? And one of them is the men are all super ugly, but the women are all super hot. And you have this other tribe is nearby. It's the other way around. See, and now they're going to run into each other, right? And what happens, right? Except for the fact that it's like in the very beginning, all recognize this white-winged bird of peace dove-ish type sign that this guy is coming from the other tribe as a peaceful representative. If they know that, then they know the other tribe is part of it. And if they know the other tribe's existence, then so do the women. I do not believe you could keep a secret like that in a place this small. So if they know the existence, like why is it such a big deal? The women all of a sudden such a revelation to them that there's hunky guys instead of I guess our average, ordinary kind of guys. They seem to imply that being a midget is also ugly, which I find more than just a bit offensive. But it's
Yeah.
like at least he isn't highly
Well,
prominently featured. But go ahead.
did you get the whole thing where the prince of the other tribe comes by and he's like, hey, the monkey man essentially is what he's talking about. And he's like, we need to take care of that together. And they're like, okay, sure. And then like, we'll talk on it. And then they immediately are just like, let's kill him.
I know, right? Like right away, right?
That if this movie was not shot in an afternoon, which it could have been shot in the afternoon, there is no night scenes. Like I don't recall a night scene in this movie. And so I'm like, you had no choice. Someone told you have this space from like this time to this time. You must be off the premises after this time.
You're right. It's like there are night scenes that I remember, but I think it's done like that where they shift the color or put a filter in for night. It's day for night with maybe with a blue filter.
Of course, some of these people probably had to go to their night jobs.
I'm sure. Although I don't know, there's a lot of, I imagine at least a lot of the guys are probably like lifeguards at different pools because that's what it looked like, these guys are all trained for lifeguard duty, They even remarked, it's like the one guy is like, the one tribe is like, you have no hair in your chest like a woman. And it's like, no, I also like a lifeguard, like someone who spends all his time at the beach. That's what it sounds like, which all you guys do too. So what's your problem? Kind of feeding off of the film school project, guys. Like, it does feel like that, like someone just threw out this stupid idea, didn't give it any more thought than that. But it does end up as a result in this kind of really almost eugenics kind of messaging. Because at the end, of course, what happens is you've got like, the ugly men find the ugly women and the ugly women. I'm putting ugly in quotes here, folks. These are not ugly people. I don't consider any of them ugly. There's fat shaming. There's midget shaming. There's all kinds of other things. It's like, but they're not ugly people. For the movie's purposes, they're not attractive. If you're an attractive woman, you have to be with an attractive man. And if you're an unattractive woman, you have to be with an unattractive man. And everyone's winking at the camera at the end. It's like, yeah, this is the way it's supposed to be, folks. Ha ha.
Oh my gosh, that final scene, that little winking scene that you're talking about, I was like, what in the like that is something I would see the Looney Tunes do.
Yes.
At the end. And I'm not kidding you, like, and it'd be something even more ridiculous, obviously. But that wink thing, I was sitting there going, that is the most Looney Tunes thing ever. And it just, also the movie, thankfully so, the movie in many ways just kind of ends on you.
if I'm going to say a movie like this should end at a certain point, it's like, okay, good. You cannot let a movie like this go much longer than an hour. And it's in that still in that hour long range, which is why it's not like, I would not have inflicted this on us had I seen this. And it's like, if it was like an hour and a half or 2 hours, I'd be like, no, I'm not inflicting this on Ryan. You know, yeah, you get why, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of things to just kind of like obviously roll your eyes at. You know, one of the other things that I just thought was so stinking funny is all the men, they talk like this, or at least they try to talk like this most of the time in the movie because they are supposed to be Neanderthals. And the women are just talking like normal human beings.
Yeah. And that's
Like,
across tribes, too.
Yeah. I'm sitting there going, okay, I guess. And then, of course, there's... I want to make this very clear. It's not a perfect talk like this because there are so many times where the guys just quit talking like that and they're just talking to each other like normal human beings. And then they go back to talking like this after a little bit. And you're like, you just sit there going, what?
Consistency, folks. Consistency. That's not a thing in this movie. Yeah. No.
If we're going to make a bad movie on someone's property, then let's be consistent at least.
You could at least try to control that, right? No, of course not. There's one kind of brush with greatness in this movie, although you don't see it on screen. I don't know the veracity of this, but word has it on like the trivia section of IMDb. Supposedly, the director, James Walcott, was somehow friends with Tennessee Williams, the guy who wrote the plays for, like, we saw it with Marlon Brando with, Streetcar Named Desire, and we just saw the other one. What was it? He wrote those like classics, right? They're like 5-star movies. He's just friends with this James Walcott guy, and he shows up on set, apparently, and James Walcott says, "Have you ever directed before?" He says, "No." "Go at it. Have a shot at it." And apparently he just, like, for an afternoon, he helped direct Wild Women of Wongo. And I hope that's true because it's like it adds a bit of mythos to the whole thing, and
I want to know what part of the movie he directed because does it get better? Yeah, the movie you were thinking of is Fugitive Kind, I think.
The Fugitive Kind. That's it. Yeah, that was the one. So, yeah, but those are really, but to think of, like, he wrote these terrific movies and he's a friend with this guy who's making a cheap farce kind of thing. Like, the big thing that the movie brought to mind was, for me at least, was that the fine line there is between something that's funny and offensive. We've talked a lot about in the episode, like, how it is very much like, the end result is very much eugenics. The only thing that's different is the forced sterilization, which they only get around because it's like, well, no, you have your own kind to be with. But it is very much your kind belong with your kind, and your kind belong with your kind. It's such a terrible message. And yet, it's kind of like Springtime for Hitler and the producers, these two schlub directors of Broadway plays. He comes across the idea to try to produce a flop intentionally, and he gets the play insured, thinking that, and then he goes out and finds the worst possible kind of script he can find, which happens to be by an actual ex-Nazi, or not even ex, really. He's just kind of living incognito. But he's like, it's called Springtime for Hitler, and it becomes funny because it's like, well, obviously anything around Hitler and the Holocaust is terrible. But when you put it in that context and someone tries to take it seriously, you get something very different, And that's what kind of, there's two elements of humor. Is you got the violation and you've got the intent not to, you have to have benign intent, basically. And that's what kind of this movie comes down to, is like, if it was not for the abject stupidity of the execution of this movie, if someone actually went into this intending to make a film about eugenics, and it's like, then it would be a Kill with Fire.
I don't know if I really ever thought of it that way. It's a good way to think of it. But like, yeah, with this particular movie, there are plenty of times I wasn't ever really, maybe I wasn't paying enough attention to the whole eugenics part of it, but I can see it's there, obviously. But I just kept thinking about, like, the more sexist angle of this movie, of the whole, being like, oh, you did bad, women, so now you must, like, go off. And, like, I guess all the dudes get killed I'm not sure what happens to all of them. They all run away or something like that.
I mean, I'm not sure what happens to them.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's just so incredibly, like, it is just so incredibly sexist towards women the whole entire time. like in the comedic way, is just, it's like, and and every time they're referred to these particular main group of women, the Wild Women of Wongo, we've heard about you, and it's like, what did they do other than save a dude from dying?
One dude.
Yeah, and it's like, hey, maybe don't kill people. I don't know. Like, that seems like a pretty good thing to do, not do.
If you want to call them wild, first of all, it's like that's like the one wild thing they do to step out of bounds is to save a dude's life against their own tribe. But that's really the only wild thing they do. Otherwise, it's like you said, there's sexist stereotypes and tropes. It's like they actually, when it comes time for the women to lure the men and leave it to the plot, by the way, to have them so that the men are actually without spears, so that they can't
Yeah.
defend themselves. So the women actually have, some more of an even playing field, so the women can capture the men. You see. It's like, okay, I see what you did there because you didn't even attempt to hide it. It's like the whole rule is obviously made just for this scenario.
And that's another thing too. Like, the whole eugenics thing. If you are going to tempt me with a group of quote unquote monkey men, you better. If you're going to be a crappy movie, you better have a bunch of random dudes in crappy monkey mask.
I was a little bit let down by that too, I have to say, when they finally showed up.
Even to the end of the movie, I was like, maybe the monkey men haven't showed up yet.
They're still out there somewhere.
Yeah, even after they called those guys the monkey men, I was sitting there going, maybe they just haven't appeared yet. Maybe this terrible costume hasn't made its way. But apparently, all of the costume budget and the makeup budget went into silver hair and loincloth.
I thought about it for a moment because it's like it could have gone a lot worse. Think about like some of the stereotypes and the tropes. If someone could have gone racist with it, it's like, yeah, I'm glad they didn't. But it's like if they actually went for different in that direction, because there's that clueless. I could almost see a movie doing that if they decided to. It was almost like one of those careful what you wish for moments. I was like, yeah, I was expecting more from the monkey men. The same buff white dudes, just with their faces all going, just with their faces turned down, like super. The corners of the mouths are just kind of like super pushed down. And it's like, that's the monkey men. Okay, so I'm a little disappointed. But on the other hand, could have gone a lot worse. I guess mixed blessings, I guess you could say. Nuke the fridge is a general category. We're both going nuked on this.
Yeah, I'm 100%.
How high of a nuke is it on the regular scale?
Woo, man. The thing is, I have to probably put it on a bit of a lower scale here. And the reason why is because, like, I'm not entirely sure. Was there any parts, like, did you notice any, like, major movie mistakes in this movie to laugh at?
Nothing that, I guess, out of the ordinary. I guess for me, it's just, it depends what you're tickled by, and I guess the stilted dialogue, just the one-shot scenes. Basically, you did everything in one shot with first-time actors and last-time actors.
Those, like, those hometown aquatic centers that you have ever been to one of those? Like, they're always pretty nice. They're just kind of showing you, like, the wildlife of the hometown and of that particular place and whatnot. Like community centers and whatnot.
Yeah.
Nuke the fridge, but this belongs in a museum because this is one of those things where you can go and like, hey, here's the wildlife of the area.
Okay. It does kind of, like you said, kind of highlight what Southern Florida is like, which is, in point of fact, if you don't go to the beaches, it's fairly boring. It's just flat
and the
kind of palm trees and subtropical scrub.
And the absolute 100% best part of this movie is the freaking parrot that is just
parrot's the best
riddled
actor
throughout it. Yeah, the parrot's the best actor. There's a parrot reacting to this movie as this movie is going on. And I'm not kidding you. Like, it really is. Like, every scene, it's just reacting to the scene at some point. I almost want to go watch one of the riff tracks or, one of those types of things to see what they talk about the parrot as the parrot is.
There is a Riff Tracks version of this. Yes, I looked it up. There is a Riff Tracks version of this. The parrot's the best actor in the film, although he was still so obnoxious. I can't knock him too hard because he's still the best actor. This is actually in the stinger at the end, but it's like there's a scene where like the men are huddled and the attractive men, I guess it's called Guna, is where the attractive men are, and they're learning about the attractive women in Wongo, and they're all huddled together, and one of them stands up suddenly and goes, "Wahoo!" Like that is the best and the worst Wahoo I've ever heard in my life. That leaves it a trust me for me. In terms of level of how much fun it is for me, at least personally. It's not Fortune and Glory. That's still Plan 9's territory. That rules
Yeah.
the roost there, and you have to set it pretty high to beat that or to match it. It's so lightweight, you practically forget it. It's kind of like, it's kind of like candy you've eaten, and you forget about it the moment it passes your tonsils.
Yeah.
So at least it's light, and you'll forget about it until the next time you look it up. It's trust the fridge. At this time, we'd like to remind the listening audience out there that if you're having a good time with Ryan and me, taking apart these old movies and seeing what they're made of, please do like and subscribe and comment, and of course, follow us on your podcast purveyor of choice. Tell us what you think we get wrong, and of course, give us some recommendations on what you think we ought to watch next. We're always open to ideas, so keep them coming. All right. But on the subject of future stuff, Ryan, we've got a film coming up. I hadn't really heard of this one before, but I recognize the director, and of course, I recognize some of the actors. Why don't you go tell them what we're in for next week?
This is a movie, by the way, that could possibly have been filmed at the same exact time as the Wild Women of Wongo. All right, this is what Tubi says. After World War III has ended life in the Northern Hemisphere and as the fallout heads for Melbourne, a sub of scientists investigate cryptic signals. This movie stars Gregory Peck, Ava Gardner, Fred Astaire, Anthony Perkins. Those are some names.
Some big names.
Some big names. This is the drama romance movie directed by Stanley Kramer titled On the Beach.
On the Beach. Same guy who did Judgment at Nuremberg and Mad World. So we'll see where this one fits in this panthology.
So what we're hoping for is like some really good dialogue.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. So yeah, that's what we got coming next week. Yeah, I can't think of anything else to say about this week's episode. So tune in for next week's show, and I'll see you guys out there, and we'll see you guys out there. And Ryan, I'll see you next week, okay?
See you next week.
See you next week, folks. Bye-bye.